Okay, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt that little pang of guilt for taking a break from your creative work? Today, we're going to tear down this giant myth that to be successful, you have to be working 24/7. We're going to explore why rest isn't just a break from the work, but actually a vital part of the work, especially if you want to be in this for the long haul. Man, this quote just hits different, doesn't it? It perfectly nails that gap between the always on image that so many creators try to project and, the actual reality of our lives. It's the perfect place to start a really important conversation about what sustainable creativity truly looks like. So, first up, let's just deconstruct this whole myth of the always on creator. It's this idea that's everywhere, and frankly, it's pretty damaging that real artists are just fueled by some kind of endless internal engine. And what's wild is that it's a trap so many of us fall right into.
We've all seen this, right? The Instagram posts about banging out a few thousand words before the sun is even up, or sleeping with a notebook because ideas just strike at 2 a.m. It paints this heroic, almost superhuman picture of creative devotion, but it also sets an absolutely unrealistic standard.
Because let's be real, for most of us, life looks a lot more like this. It's not just a blank page and a perfect cup of coffee. It is a constant, messy juggle of jobs, family, errands, worries, you name it. A million little things that all need a piece of our time and our mental energy. So here's the most crucial thing to remember. Having a life outside of your creative work isn't a bug, it's a feature. It is not a sign that you're weak or that you lack discipline. It's just the normal, healthy rhythm of a life that is full and interesting and, well, real. So, what happens when we try to live up to this impossible ideal? Well, chasing this myth isn't just exhausting. It comes with a very real price tag. It's a performance, really, called productivity theater. And the cost of admission is our well-being and, honestly, the quality of our work. I find this concept so powerful. Productivity theater. It's not really about the work itself, it's about the performance of work. You've seen it, those public posts flexing huge word counts and unbroken writing streaks. That's the stuff that creates this toxic culture of comparison, making everybody else feel like they're falling behind. And what happens when you try to force creativity when you're just completely running on empty? You get this. And what a perfect description. The work gets foggy, it's lifeless, you're just pushing words around on a screen to hit some imaginary quota, and the heart and soul of it just evaporates. Now, this slide makes such a critical distinction. On one side, you've got stamina. That's the short-term, brute force push to hit a deadline. It's a sprint. But on the other side, you have longevity. That's the marathon. It's all about building a creative practice that can actually last for years because you know when to stop, step away, and refill the tank. The signs of burnout can be really subtle at first. Just ask yourself, does your work feel a little thin lately? Has your tone shifted? Are you kind of covering the same ground over and over? If you read something you wrote and you think, wow, that doesn't even sound like me anymore, you might be heading straight for burnout. So how do we stop it? Okay, this is the big turning point. We've laid out the problem, now let's talk about the solution. And the answer, as counterintuitive as it might sound, isn't in working harder, it's in pausing. This is the million-dollar question, right? If that hustle and grind mentality is just a creative dead end in the long run, then what's the alternative? Well, the answer is way simpler and a whole lot more effective than you might think. See, taking a break isn't passive. It's an active, essential part of the whole creative process. When you step away, your brain literally starts to reorganize itself. You go out into the world, you collect new experiences, new observations. And the result? Your work gets deeper because you get deeper. It's this really powerful, positive cycle. This is such a simple but profound truth. We chain ourselves to our desks, just waiting for that lightning bolt of inspiration to strike, when the reality is, it's much more likely to find us when we're doing something completely different. No, seriously, think about it. When did your last really good idea hit you? Was it while you were staring at a blinking cursor forcing it? Or was it during one of these moments, when your hands were busy with some other task, or your mind was just wandering on a long walk? These things aren't distractions, they're incubators for creativity. And that brings us to our final and maybe the most important section here. This is all about giving yourself explicit permission to embrace rest, to step away without feeling one ounce of guilt about it. Just let that sink in for a second. You are allowed to shift your focus. Your creative project does not have to be your number one priority 24/7, 365 days a year. Life changes, and your attention has to be allowed to change with it.
Sometimes life just demands your full attention. You're starting a new business, a family member needs you. These things take up a completely different mental lane. Recognizing when you need to flip that switch isn't quitting, it's just smart energy management.
This is the big fear that holds so many of us back, isn't it? The fear that if we stop, we'll lose all our momentum, that the spark will just fizzle out. But what's amazing is that the opposite is so often true. Creativity is like a muscle. Rest is what allows it to repair and grow back even stronger. And let's be totally clear, this isn't just about feeling better, it's about being better at your craft. The well-rested version of you is infinitely sharper, more insightful, and more creative than the exhausted version who's just trying to survive.
So, in the end, it really all comes down to this choice. The next time you feel that creative well running dry, are you going to keep digging in the dust, performing that productivity theater? Or are you going to have the wisdom to step back, refuel, trust the process, and come back ready to create something truly great? The choice, as always, is yours.